So in the same way, fourth gear is dangerous gear. But because of our society and the way that we do business and work, we're managing employees, we're managing customers, we're managing expectations, we're managing cash flow, we're managing kids' schedules, we're managing, it's task-driven society. Have you guys ever seen these? This is these iPhone things. Have you guys ever seen a smartphone? Yeah, I'm joking. Come on, guys, you gotta get right on. No, they're like, come on, Jeremy, you gotta tell better jokes. This is a fourth gear machine. Okay? It happens to have a dangerous app on here. It's called the alarm clock. The alarm clock is right next to this other dangerous section called email. So I have a tendency to do, this is my alarm clock, it wakes me up. I also kind of go, I wonder what's going on. And if I wake up and I start checking emails first of the day, it's basically taken me off into whatever direction it wanted to go. It's directing my task, it's directing my day. You guys don't do that, right? Surely. Did anyone do that? Look at email first thing in the morning? The first? Right. Okay, one. Not anymore, not after today. All right. But here's the problem, you guys. It starts us in fourth gear. It would be like starting your car, getting out on the drive, and going into fourth gear and trying to shift. It's not intended to be there. It's in the wrong gear, the wrong time. There's a natural tendency, and if we let that be our driver, then we're creating it starts manipulating or changing the way that we work and live, and it starts diminishing our productivity long term because we start right in fourth gear. It's like a football team is never meant to get, okay guys, you're right out of the locker room, go right into the game, go play right now. Like, no, there's a warm-up time. You need at least 30, 45 minutes for the team to warm up, get their juices flowing, and yet it happens time and time again. Some of you are thinkers, like we're all thinkers and feelers though in Myers-Briggs type language. Some of you are thinkers, and so you show up at work before anyone else, and so you're already there, and you're already in the zone, and you go to fourth and fifth gear an hour and a half before anyone else arrives. So when you see somebody and they walk in, and you go, oh hey Gary, hey yeah, how's it going? Hey, did you get that email from Pat yesterday? Did you? And Gary's like, whoa, man, I just got here. Like, let me warm up. Let me get my coffee. Give me at least 30 minutes. And so what happens then, for the people who are stuck in fourth and fifth gear, everyone avoids you. You don't know this, but they're like, hey, oh no, here we go. Because they know what to expect. And so what happens over time is your influence diminishes and you don't realize it. You're undermining yourself because you're in your head. And fourth and fifth gear can be really dangerous. It can be really productive in the right setting and in the right time. All right? All right, third gear. Third gear is where business happens. And some of you in fourth and fifth gear are like, what? I hate third gear. I don't have to go talk to people. It's like they're going to talk about their mom and their cousin and that's such a waste of time. And what I've found is it's actually not. It's actually where people sniff you out. They sniff you out to see if they want to be around you long term. And your influence is directly related to how well you do third gear. If you only do fourth and fifth gear, it's like painting yourself in the corner. You wake up one day and you have 0 friends and not that many people who want to do work with you because you wear them out. Third gear is the grace. It's like the oil. It allows people to be around you. Now, I'm going to give you a little tip. What I've figured out, when I'm moving back I've lived in Atlanta for 7+ years. I've lived in London, moved now back in the city. And what I've realized is that smaller towns and smaller areas or regions, especially the more rural that you get, if you get into the rural areas of New Mexico or Oklahoma, in those places, most of the people talk about people, places, and things. I like to talk about ideas. So I'm an idea guy. So I have a hard time going to my family reunion out in the sticks because they mostly talk about, yeah, Aunt Jenny, she did this, or, you know, we sent cousin Timmy over to whatever, and, you know, last week we got to go to Branson and we bought a boat. I'm like, I'm not interested in any of those things. And I hate to say that because I sound like a snob, but it's not the way I'm wired. I want to talk about global intelligence and what's going on with Iran, and I want to talk about what the kingdom is what's doing, and I want to talk about this idea that we've created. And what I've realized is that the ideas versus people, places, and things, there's two types of people, and you have to understand how to connect. So I've been working on this really diligently, and so I have a little trick I'm going to give you. For those of you, let's just be bold. For those of you who have a hard time in third gear or don't like third gear, raise your hand. All right? Okay, I'm going to give you a trick. When you're meeting people, you've got to be curious. So you've got to get past this almost scarcity mentality of like, oh gosh, there we go again. Instead, like, okay, I'm gonna try to figure this out. I'm gonna enjoy this. Trick yourself. Then when you get there, you do this. You basically ask a couple of questions. It's really simple. So Chris, John, I'm gonna pick on you. So if I'm talking to Chris, hey Chris, all right man, so where are you from? Tell me, where's your hometown?
Salinas, California.
What is it? Salinas, California. Awesome. Salinas, tell me the most famous thing or famous person that's happened in Salinas, California.
John Steinbeck.
Really? Wow, so is the whole town like John Steinbeck fanatic?
No.
Is there a museum and all that kind of stuff?
There's a library.
Okay, so my point is, so we find something and you find commonality. And what will end up happening in a conversation like that, usually he'll return the question, he'll ask me, I might say, you know, for me it's Jim Thorpe, all right? So you go and have some conversation, it leads to about 20, 30 minutes of pleasantry and interest, and it gets the idea people at least interested, and like, hey, I learned something new, great, versus kind of like, yeah, it sure is warm outside, isn't it? Yeah, boy, the weather's been this way for a long time. You know, I could never be a hairdresser because it's full of people, places, and things, right? But it's a little trick. For those of you in third gear who have a hard time with it, be curious. Be curious. And what happens, you'll find these conversations and connections. So trick yourself. Ask them the hometown question. You know, you can ask yourself 2 or 3 other thoughts. But your second gear, the second year is learning to connect. Well, let me tell you where this all came from, and it's really, really, really painful. So we were divesting John Maxwell's business. We had another group trying to acquire our companies, and we have the Leader Cast, we have the Catalyst conferences, a number of the country brands that we have. And I was there in that season, about 3 or 4 months, really, really busy. Lawyers, attorneys, investors, board members, running the business. You know, when you're acquiring something and divesting something, there's just a lot of activity, plus we had a big event going on. So it was just an intense period of time. So my thinker was locked in 4th and 5th gear constantly. So I already told my wife, hey, it's gonna be busy. You know, like, that was my little, give me grace. And about 3 or 4 months in, she had been texting me, what time are you going to be at dinner? And I was like 6:30. I usually would be home by 6, but I was 6:30. And my wife is a presentation person. She loves to have a hot meal. She loves she's amazing. And so, 6:30 meant we're having dinner at 6:34. You know, it's like you're committing. So I would get home, and it was like 6:40, and it was 6:50 one time, and 6. And, so I'm getting texts from her, and what I had gotten in the habit of doing is I wasn't finished with my phone conversation on the way home through my car speaker, so I would pull into a cul-de-sac and drive around the cul-de-sac, or like pull in the swim neighborhood tennis court area and park there for a little bit. So she would ask me, texting, where are you? And I would respond, I'm close. which is true. I wasn't lying. I'm close. So again, has anyone done that before? So then what happened is I would get home, and my kids would be in the driveway and waiting for me, and I'd get off and I'd have the phone stuck to me and kind of do one of these like, hey guys, hey, just a second. Yeah, anyway, yeah, maybe, smile. I'm stiff arming my kids. That's what I'm doing. And I'd come in to my amazing wife who's looking at me, and I would kind of do the, oh, crazy day. Unbelievable. It's just crazy. I had this little monologue, as if that was grace. And so I would then sit down at the table, and I would do the obligatory, hey guys, how's it going? What was the best thing that happened today? What was all these things with my kids, but I'm not there. And then my wife, after the kids had cleared the table, she's like, we need to talk. That's a horrible statement. It's not fun at all. We need to talk. And I felt like the principal in the office, or my mom was like, and after dinner, you're like walking in the room, like on a bend over, like I feel like I'm gonna get a SWAT right now. So what happened is she says this, hon, you're here, but you're not here. Like, we want you to be here, but you're just consumed. I feel like I'm just talking to a wall when you're here. And you say you're gonna be home, but you're not, And she was absolutely right. But because I'm really good at being defensive, like that's one of my skills, is being defensive. And, then I turned it on her, and like, don't you understand what we're doing? Do you understand how big a deal this is? Do you know what I'm doing? You don't know what I'm doing, do you? Do you know who I talked to today? Which is like the last thing. It's like taking kerosene and just putting it on a fire, right? So I made my frustrated wife frustrated and exasperated. I just, even worse. All because I'm defending my inability to be in the right gear at the right time. What I was doing was running over my kids. It'd be like driving 50 miles an hour in a 20 mile an hour zone. If you see the school zone, right? You see that 20 mile an hour flasher, the first thing I do, slam on my brakes, look for cops. And go, man, I don't want to run over a kid, but I don't want a ticket either. So in the same way, what I was doing at home, I was doing that very same thing. I'm just running over my kids and running over my family because I'm in 4th and 5th gear. And all she was saying was, I want you to be in 2nd. Now here's the power where we're going with all this. My wife shared subjective language that made me feel as if she didn't value what I was doing, when I knew she was right. I was just being defensive. It was pride. What we do now is she simply does this. Hey, hon. Objective language. It's objective. It's not subjective. There's not a lot of sentences or paragraphs behind this. This is just, hey, hon. And I go, whoa, yeah, right. I'm in 5th. Absolutely. This is a place for 2nd gear. That makes sense? All right, we're gonna practice here in a minute. 1st gear. I don't know how to do recharge because I'm an extrovert. I'm getting recharged right now, being with you guys. So I have to fight really hard. So my quiet times are gonna look totally different than Bill's. Now, Bill, I'm picking on you again, but our personality types are different. And so Bill's 2 hours with the Lord, so the Lord called him to 2 hours of prayer. Wow, that's hard for me. Because I see these flashy objects and I have to, so I've kind of learned, I've figured out what my recharge time looks like with the Lord and how it worked. Now I'm talking with him all day, I'm praying with him all day. It was the difference between the Jesuit movement and the Catholic one and the Franciscan order. They had a totally different way that they recharged. And the Jesuits would do it as they went, and the Franciscans would go and they would spend time. Well, they're not bad. I finally realized it's how you recharge with the